Hi, everybody. My name is Rakesh. As Pindy said, I'm CEO of LoginRadius. We are a local company here. So, as you can see, the title here, from a dusty village in India to the Forrester wave. Who wants to know where is the dusty village and why we call it dusty? Nobody? All right. So I'm from India. There's a little province called Rajasthan. Have anybody traveled to Rajasthan? Oh, there's one person too. All right, that's awesome. In Rajasthan, we have great Indian desert. It's called Thar. So it's a very dry place. That's where I'm from. Super dry, and temperature goes to like plus 50 degree in summer, and it feels like plus 60 degree though. So you can easily get toasted there. So I'm from there. There's a tiny village named called Charia. So I was born in 80s. So there are like 3,000 people. So in Canadian standard, that's like a town. But for 1.2 billion people, that's a tiny village. So that's where I'm from. So when I was born in 80s, it was like a medieval age town. So there was nothing in terms of technology, no electricity, no water supply, no roads, no automobile, no hospitals, like nothing pretty much. We used to kind of pull water from the pool, the well, so getting underground water. So that sort of scenarios I'm coming from. And in summertime, not only hot, but it's like dusty. So you're like sandstorms. So it was awesome time though. So I had a good time. And this was kind of Uber of our times. So, wherever you need to go, that's the only way you need to kind of move around. Nearest town was like 15 kilometers. So it takes like a couple of hours to get there. But yeah, those are the things where I was born. And from that point, I'm here in front of you guys. So before that, I want to briefly tell you the story of LoginRadius, who I co-founded. So we are two friends, Deepak and me. We are friends for the last 20 years. So we are grade 9 high school friends. So once I left my village at age 12 and a half, and since then I've been living by myself, by the way. That's where I met Deepak, in a big city called Jaipur. And we are friends since then. So he is my co-founder. After finishing school, engineering in India, I came to Edmonton, Alberta for my master's degree, and Deepak went to Chicago for his master's degree. He is also from my nearby village, probably like 100 kilometers away. So we both, end up doing something together. Now, before I jump more into that, let me talk about the business here. So LoginRadius is a customer identity management platform. So it's a B2B cloud-based application. So as a consumer, when we go to a website or a mobile app, they ask us to create an account, to post a comment, to buy something, or to do something, right? So you need to kind of fill out a form, you need to create a username, password, or you log in with Facebook, Google, or Twitter. So we take care of all that part. So that's what we do. That's what we call LoginRadius. So everything about login is taken care by us. So for example, CBC News is our client. So if you're on CBC News, you're posting something, it's going through us. Now we are white label, so you guys don't see us. Or if you go to City of Surrey, they are our client locally as well. Or if you go to avatar.com, you guys know movie Avatar? So if you're a fan of Avatar doing something on their website, it's happening through us. So we know everybody's information. So altogether, we are providing this sort of service for over 3,000 companies worldwide. And through those companies, we manage over 600 million users. And to manage those 600 million users, our platform handles 6 billion API calls every month. So it's pretty massive in global scale. But because we're B2B and white label, so probably a lot of people don't know us. So that's our story as a company. And we are located a few blocks from here. And we are growing as well. Altogether now we are a team of 70 people. and we are hoping to continue growing. We have been also recognized as industry leader by Gartner, Forrester, Kuppinger Cole, and many other analyst firms. It's pretty well positioned. 95% of our revenue comes outside Canada. So in that sense, we are pretty global. And we also have one office in India, a few other sales offices. Now, so I was talking about my dusty village, and I'm sitting in front of you guys here. So how I got here. So instead of sharing a lot of lessons, I want to only share one thing, and that's the adaptability. So in my personal life, as well as in our business, this is one of the biggest learning, and that's one of the biggest philosophy we have. And that's all I want to talk about. Now, before we jump into that, everybody knows Charles Darwin, I guess. So one of his famous quotes is that it's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to the change. And this has been core philosophy of my personal life as well as the business. So let's talk about the personal life first. So as you see, I'm moving from a tiny village to bigger city in India, then to one of the topmost engineering school in India, to moving to Germany, then to Canada. So, cultural shock from, tiny village to bigger cities in India to the Western world. Or, living in plus 50 degree to living in minus 50 degrees in Edmonton. Or, learning, speaking only local language in India to learning our national language Hindi to now speaking English in front of you guys. So a lot of, adaptability played a big role in my personal story. And that, also important for individuals who are building, career, who want to pursue, different educations, developing some skills, learning different languages, getting into marketing. Another thing I adapted is that my bachelor's is in mechanical engineering, and I did my master's in mining engineering, and I worked in Fort McMurray in camps for 3 years, and now I'm CEO of a software company. So, a lot of, adaptability, which I think is good for everybody to really understand. And the very fundamental to be adaptable is just being open. So don't resist, try to understand and adopt it, and really focusing on our goals. So this is the personal story of adaptability, and I want to touch briefly about the business. So as you guys know, I think one of the speaker at the very earlier said, most of startups are going to fail. So that's true. So how you survive? The only best way to survive is adapting, whatever the change is happening. And even if it's not only small company, but even big company, look at BlackBerry. They didn't adapt. So what happens? They disappear. Or Nokia, right? So it's not applicable to the tiny companies who are building one or two guys, right? Even like large corporations like BlackBerry, I think they were valued at $200 billion at one time in 2006 or 7. And now nobody was buying for $3 billion, for example. So in business, when we wanted to start, me and Deepak, business back in 2010 and 11, we had a lot of ideas. So we tried, I personally tried running a small jewelry business to start with. That didn't work out. I was like, okay, let's move on. Then we opened a web development agencies. We tried to run it for a year or so. It's like, hey, this is not working. We can't make a lot of money. It's painful. Let's move on. So we built a couple of startup ideas. We built a couple of a startup application. And when we were developing those startup application, that's where we came across the problem of login. So we say, oh, this is very difficult to build, and it's very difficult to maintain, and then the security and the privacy and all those crazy stuff. So we say we're going to build that solution for ourselves, for our first application, and we say we're going to use the same for the second application, and that's where the idea of LoginRadius is born. It was like, oh, that's a good idea. Everybody's facing the same problem. So why don't we roll this little piece of the code we written as a solution, and that took off, and then we scrapped the other two ideas, and we jumped to the LoginRadius. So this is how this company was started back in 2012. Now, as we were building it, the very first concept we built those days was social login. Login with Facebook, login with Google. We say, hey, we're going to build this little code, an API, and then people can put on their website and mobile app, make their life easy, and so on. And over the period, after working over a year or so, we realized you cannot build a $1 billion company. You cannot make a lot of big impact by just offering social media login. So we have to pivot. So we pivoted from social login to being a customer identity management platform. And that happened because of adaptability. Like we have to adapt, otherwise we're going to die. So that was the first big one. And then as we were building, initially we were serving like a small and medium-sized businesses. So we were charging like $50 a month, then $200 a month, $300 a month. It's like, whoa, this is painful. Like we have to acquire like thousands of customers and selling them, supporting them. We cannot scale the business. So like we have to change. It's like, what are we going to do? Let's move to the enterprise space. So we pivoted and moved into enterprise space. And now we sell our solutions for $100,000 per year per client, or sometimes $400,000 per year per client. So this is a big shift into how you market, how you sell, how you provide the support, what kind of talent you're going to hire, what kind of branding role you're going to have. Like it's a completely different ball game. But we adapted it and we changed ourselves. The third thing we did is like, okay, now we guys in enterprise space. So Edmonton, as you guys know, is an oil, gas and oil town. There's nobody tech. You cannot find any tech-relevant skill set there. So we say we have to do something, right? So we say, okay, let's move out of Edmonton. And then we moved to Edmonton, to Vancouver. So we packed everything. Within 3 months, we moved everything quickly right here in Vancouver. And then finally, as we are moving, growing as a company, we also need to be adaptable to the culture, the kind of people we hire, the processes, the hierarchy, and everything. So we are constantly evolving our culture. And with the adaptability, another core philosophy I personally have is that in LoginRadius, we want to evolve every day. So we don't wait for a week or 30 days or a quarter or 6 months to review stuff. We just evolve right away. Some problem found, let's change it, let's change it, let's change it. So we believe in evolving 365 days, 365 times a year, not just like 4 times every quarter. So this is how we're also evolving our culture. So that was my key message about the adaptability, and that was my personal story and LoginRadius stories. Any questions, guys? Yes. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. So when we transition to enterprise, the sales element, so the first is the product element. So when you build a product for SMB, you can have issues and this and that. It's like, okay, let's fix it. It's a volume game, right? You build some features and you throw it out and you test it out and people like it or not. So there is a product evolution of SMB is a bit different than enterprise product evolution. And the sales is very different. In SMB, you can have a self-service model where people are coming to your website and buying. And accordingly, your marketing going to work, bringing a lot of traffic and volume. But when you move to enterprise, the sales might take like 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months. And you have to like handhold, and it's a very consultative approach. And then you cannot just build some feature and then wait for 10 customers to test it out, which might take 2 years or 1 year, right? Because it's no more volume game. So the way your employees think, the way you strategize, the way your different department leaders are thinking is very different. So we have to kind of adopt that internally in the culture and the business. So the whole transition took over 1.5 to 2 years because now you have to develop the product for enterprise, number one. Then you need to market, and then you generate the lead, and then closing the deal again takes 6 months. So it's definitely a longer sales cycle. But that's where we wanted to take the company, and that's where the real opportunity is. That's why we took the risk and took a little bit of time to do that. So we are not replacing Google, Facebook, or anything. So we still offer the username password system. We still offer the Facebook, Google, Twitter, and 40 other social networks. We also offer the phone login. So we just offer the technology. We don't offer LoginRadius login. So instead of developers and companies building their own login system, and on the back end they're building the databases and managing the securities and privacy, all those crazy stuff on the back end, they just outsource everything to us, and we are like a cloud-based out-of-box solution, and they just simply put that interface on their application. So it makes their life easy. Instead of wasting 3-4 months to build it, they just get it ready in like within a week. Perfect. Thank you, everybody. Oh, there's one over there. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, could you repeat that? Sorry, yeah. So when we provide the solution, yes, we handle the personally identifiable information of all the users, but we create individual databases, and we only provide the storage facility on our platform. Now, all the data are owned by our clients, and they own it, they see it, we encrypt all the data at rest and in transit. So we personally, as a company, we don't see anything. But the buyer, the client, they are the only parties who can access the data. Yes, I mean, I don't know specifically they were hacked, but this is one of the big concerns. They want to be part of use solutions like LoginRadius because we are the security expert, right? And then we have a lot of advanced features on security, so they prefer the security and the data to be managed by experts like us instead of their in-house team, which is more risky. So yes, it's for security concern, but I'm not sure if they came just because they were hacked. No, not yet. Yes, we haven't been hacked, but we have a pretty advanced technology and a lot of security compliances and all those good stuff in place. But plus we are building advanced level of technology which is more like unhackable. The reason why I'm calling it unhackable is that for 33,000 plus clients, we have a lot of databases, right? So even if somebody hacks a database, they cannot figure out which website that username password belongs to. So technically, you cannot hack. Even if you hack LoginRadius, you cannot really hack. Can't access the user's information and their accounts. So there are a lot of advanced level of features. Then we have risk-based authentications to identify the pattern on user behavior, and then we can easily red flag if somebody trying to hack user's account, and so on. So there are a lot of security features and product we offer. So there are different compliances like SOC 2 or whatever compliance, right? There are different organizations who does it, but we work closely with Deloitte and IBM Security who do regular third-party independent audits of our platform.
The last question's right over there. Yeah, no, you.
Do you have any solutions for two-factor authentication?
Yes, we offer multi-factor, including 2 factors through SMS and phone calls, also through Google Authenticator app. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Rakesh.